My name is Alex, and for a long time, I believed making more money would automatically make my life feel safer. I followed every rule, saved consistently, invested early, and still felt a quiet tension sitting in my chest each night. It wasn't fear of being broke that kept me awake. It was uncertainty about whether I was actually moving forward. If you earn money, invest regularly, and still feel uneasy, I want you to know this conversation is for you. Before we go deeper, gently like this video so it reaches someone else silently stressing about money tonight. And consider subscribing, because this channel is about calm, honest money conversations, not hype or quick wealth fantasies. Today, I want to share the framework that finally helped me understand why money felt stressful despite doing everything right. I learned that wealth is not a number you reach. It is a level you operate from every single day. Most people are not failing financially. They are simply stuck operating inside the wrong level of wealth. When you misunderstand your level, every financial decision feels heavier, riskier, and far more emotionally exhausting than necessary. I used to think wealth was linear, that more income always meant more peace and more freedom. But experience taught me wealth behaves more like a ladder, where each rung demands a different mindset and strategy. Climbing the wrong rung too early does not make you ambitious. It usually makes you anxious and unstable. The reason money advice feels confusing is because most advice ignores where you actually stand right now. Once I stopped chasing random strategies and started respecting my level, my relationship with money completely changed. That realization forced me to see my own stress not as failure, but as a signal I was misaligned. In this video, I will walk you through the 7 levels of wealth exactly as I experienced and understood them, not to impress you, but to help you locate yourself honestly without shame, pressure, or unrealistic expectations. Because clarity about your level is often more powerful than earning an extra $10,000 this year. And once you see where you truly stand, the next step forward becomes calmer, clearer, and far less intimidating. The first level of wealth is survival, where money decisions are driven almost entirely by fear and urgency. At this level, checking your bank balance triggers anxiety, because one unexpected expense can collapse everything you built. I remember opening my banking app slowly, mentally rehearsing backup plans before even looking at the number inside. Survival wealth is exhausting because your brain never rests, constantly scanning for threats and worst-case scenarios ahead. Many people blame themselves here, believing discipline alone should fix the stress they feel every single day inside. What helped me most was realizing this level is not a moral failure. It is a structural starting point. The goal at survival is not investing, optimizing, or scaling. The goal is simply breathing room financially first. Only after you can absorb small shocks does your mind regain space to think clearly again, calmly forward. The second level of wealth is stability, and this is where many people finally exhale slightly at last. You have savings, fewer emergencies, and a sense that tomorrow will probably not destroy you financially completely yet. This level feels calm compared to survival, but it quietly carries its own hidden fragility within it there. I learned stability does not mean safety. It means you can handle small problems without panic any more easily. A single job loss, medical bill, or family emergency can still knock you backward faster than expected today. Many Americans live here believing they are secure, while their financial foundation remains thinner than assumed by others. I remember feeling proud at this level, yet strangely nervous whenever life hinted at change unexpectedly ahead suddenly. Stability rewards consistency, but it can quietly punish complacency when you assume progress will continue automatically forever safely. This is why understanding your level matters, because false confidence can be just as dangerous as fear financially. When you mistake stability for security, you delay building the systems that actually protect your future long-term. Most people watching this video are likely somewhere between these first 2 levels right now, financially speaking today. And that is okay, because recognizing your position is the first real step toward change without shame attached. The third level of wealth is growth, where money finally starts working for you instead of against you. This is where investing begins. Retirement accounts grow, and long-term planning slowly enters the conversation naturally. I remember feeling excited here because progress finally felt visible and my efforts seemed validated externally. But this level introduces a new stress most people never expect: the pressure of comparison and constant measurement. Suddenly, it is not enough to grow steadily. You start wondering if you are growing fast enough. Torgu. I watched coworkers, friends, and strangers online brag about returns, exits, and wins I did not have. Growth wealth often replaces fear with impatience, which can quietly sabotage otherwise solid financial behavior patterns. At this level, many people abandon discipline chasing excitement, believing smarter means faster instead of steadier. I learned the hard way that growth without emotional control creates stress disguised as ambition. The fourth level of wealth is security, and this is where the confusion becomes especially dangerous financially. True. Security means your investments are meaningful, your lifestyle is stable, and emergencies no longer feel catastrophic anymore. From the outside, this level looks like success, competence, and proof you did everything correctly financially. Inside, however, many people feel a subtle tension, wondering if they should still push harder or relax now. I reached this level and realized comfort can quietly stop curiosity if you are not careful. Security rewards patience, but it also tempts you to believe the hardest work is already finished. Chaigitiu. This is where people stop learning, stop questioning, and stop adjusting before real freedom actually arrives. I want you to pause here and honestly ask yourself what you are truly investing for emotionally. Are you investing to feel safe, or are you investing to prove you are doing things right? That answer often reveals more about your next level than any spreadsheet or portfolio allocation ever will. Because the path forward depends less on returns now, and more on clarity about what you actually want. Once security is reached, the question quietly shifts from survival toward meaning and personal direction. This transition feels uncomfortable because money no longer gives clear instructions about what to do next. The fifth level of wealth is freedom, where income becomes optional rather than absolutely required for survival. Freedom does not mean stopping work. It means choosing work without fear driving every decision anymore. When I first tasted this level, I expected relief, but instead I felt exposed and uncertain. Moreover, without financial pressure, I had to confront what I actually wanted my time to represent. Many people imagine freedom as happiness, but freedom often arrives as responsibility wearing a different mask. At this level, procrastination becomes expensive because time is no longer traded for income directly. I realized freedom magnifies character, habits, and priorities rather than automatically fixing them magically. Some people feel lost here because no paycheck tells them they are valuable anymore. Hiking means the sixth level of wealth is influence, where money begins amplifying your impact beyond personal comfort. Influence means your decisions affect employees, communities, families, or causes larger than yourself alone. This level forces a difficult question about responsibility most people never prepare themselves to answer. I learned that influence is not about control. It is about stewardship and long-term consequences. Not everyone wants influence, and choosing not to pursue it is a valid decision too. But if you reach this level, your values quietly become more important than your returns ever were. Money here stops being the scoreboard and starts becoming a tool reflecting who you truly are. This realization changed how I viewed success more than any income milestone ever did. Many people never reach this level because it demands emotional maturity, not just financial intelligence. And that prepares us for the final level, which very few people consciously choose to pursue. Greeting. The seventh level of wealth is legacy. And it is the level most people completely misunderstand throughout their entire financial lives. Legacy is not about having the most money, the biggest name, or the loudest success story imaginable in society today. Legacy is about creating systems, values, and stability that continue long after you personally step away from active involvement completely. I once believed legacy was reserved for the extremely wealthy, famous, or historically significant people only, with power and visibility. Over time, I realized legacy begins much earlier, quietly shaped by daily decisions and long-term thinking habits. Only a small percentage reach this level because it requires patience without immediate recognition or reward from others ever. At legacy, progress becomes invisible, which feels deeply uncomfortable for people trained to chase visible wins constantly throughout adulthood. You begin investing in people, principles, and structures instead of returns. You can measure monthly or quarterly statements alone. Most people do not fail to reach legacy. They simply never decide it matters enough for their lives long term. I struggled with this level because it forced me to release control and personal credit over outcomes, timelines, and recognition. Legacy asks whether you are willing to build something others may benefit from more than you ever personally do. This level feels slow, uncertain, and lonely. Compared to earlier stages of wealth building most people celebrate publicly today. Yet it offers a deeper peace, one not dependent on markets, income, or external validation from others anymore. Understanding legacy completely changed how I view money, time, success, and responsibility in my own life journey overall. It helped me slow down, stop rushing decisions, and focus on direction instead of speed across decades, not months. You do not need to reach this level to live a meaningful, fulfilling financial life by any definition whatsoever. But knowing this level exists reframes how you approach every level before it with intention, patience, and perspective. Legacy is less about climbing higher and more about deciding what you want to leave behind for others intentionally. Once you see wealth this way, the pressure to constantly prove yourself begins to soften over time, naturally, gently. And that clarity creates a quiet confidence no market cycle can easily take away from you long term. By now, you may be wondering where you personally fit inside these levels, and that question matters more than returns. I want you to pause here, breathe, and remember this framework exists to bring clarity, not judgment or pressure. Where you are today reflects past choices, circumstances, and timing, not your intelligence, worth, or future potential alone. Most financial stress comes from comparing your middle chapter to someone else's ending without context or patience today. I made that mistake for years, chasing faster progress while ignoring the quiet stability I was building carefully. Kitat. If this video resonates, share it with someone who works hard yet feels unsure about their financial direction. Understanding levels helps you choose strategies that fit your life instead of copying advice meant for others entirely. From here forward, progress means aligning actions with your current level, goals, and emotional capacity honestly and consistently. That alignment reduces anxiety because your money finally supports your life instead of constantly testing it emotionally daily. I wish someone had explained this to me earlier, before I confused motion with meaningful progress for years. The goal is not to rush upward, but to strengthen the rung beneath your feet first carefully now. When each level is respected, wealth feels steadier, decisions feel lighter, and confidence grows quietly over time naturally. I hope this framework helps you replace urgency with patience and pressure with thoughtful intention in daily choices. If it did, let me know by commenting which level you believe you are operating from today, honestly. Your honesty might help someone else realize they are not alone in their financial uncertainty right now today. Subscribe if you want future conversations about money that prioritize clarity, calm, and long-term thinking together here. In the next part, we will explore how to move forward without sacrificing peace or identity along the way. Because real wealth should support who you are becoming, not pressure you to perform endlessly for others' expectations. Thank you for staying with me through this conversation and for reflecting honestly on your own journey today. Remember, understanding your level is the beginning of progress that feels grounded, sustainable, and truly yours over time. Tourist, as we approach the end, I want you to feel less rushed and more grounded about money today. Most financial advice pushes urgency, but urgency rarely builds peace, clarity, or lasting confidence over time for people. I have learned that slowing down strategically often accelerates progress more reliably than chasing speed blindly everywhere else. When you know your level, decisions stop feeling emotional and start feeling appropriate for your season of life. That shift alone can lower anxiety more than any clever strategy, spreadsheet, or market prediction ever could do. I want you to remember that wealth is not something you win. It is something you grow into. Every level has dignity, value, and lessons that prepare you for what comes next in your life journey. Skipping levels usually feels exciting at first, but it often creates stress that lingers much longer inside people. I hope this framework gives you permission to stop comparing and start listening to your own needs honestly. Money becomes lighter when it supports your values instead of constantly testing your self-worth and identity today. If this video helped you reflect, share it with someone quietly navigating similar financial questions right now today. These conversations matter because money stress is isolating, and clarity often begins through shared understanding between people here. I will continue creating content for people who want progress without panic or constant financial noise and pressure. Subscribe if you want guidance that respects your pace, your priorities, and your real-life responsibilities right now. We will talk about investing, saving, and building wealth in ways that feel human and sustainable over time. Tarturi, you deserve a financial life that supports your health, relationships, and long-term sense of peace and security. Thank you for giving me your attention, your trust, and your honesty during this conversation together today here. I hope you leave feeling calmer, clearer, and more confident about the path you are on right now. Wherever you are starting from, progress begins with understanding, patience, and respect for your journey through life today. This is Alex, reminding you that wealth should help you live better, not worry harder every single day. Before you move on with your day, I want you to carry one quiet thought with you. You are not behind because progress looks different depending on the level you are building from currently. Many people feel late because they measure themselves against outcomes without understanding the stages behind them. Once I accepted my own level honestly, my financial stress dropped more than any raise ever could. That acceptance gave me permission to focus on fundamentals instead of chasing validation through constant comparison. Money works best when it matches your life priorities, energy, and emotional capacity at this moment. Trying to live at a higher level prematurely often costs peace, clarity, and long-term stability unnecessarily. I hope this framework helps you forgive past decisions and approach future ones with patience and intention. Wealth becomes sustainable when it is built in alignment with who you are, not who you feel pressured to be. This mindset shift may feel subtle, but over years it changes everything about how money serves you. If you feel calmer now than when you started watching, that itself is meaningful progress worth noticing today. Calm decisions compound quietly, just like money, creating stability long before results become visible outwardly. I want this channel to be a place where you think clearly, not feel rushed or inadequate financially. If that resonates, stay with me by subscribing and joining these conversations over time together here. We will continue breaking down complex money topics into grounded frameworks you can actually live with daily. Kumiids. No hype, no panic. Just steady understanding that supports better decisions across different seasons of life. Thank you for choosing to spend this time reflecting instead of scrolling past your financial questions again. Your willingness to pause and think is already a sign you are building something healthier long-term. Wherever you are headed, progress does not require perfection, only awareness and consistent alignment over time. I will see you in the next conversation, where we continue building wealth that supports life, not stress. Weeze, as this video comes to a close, I want you to release some pressure about where you believe you should be financially. Most financial stress comes from believing there is one correct timeline everyone else seems to follow successfully. Your journey does not need to match anyone else's pace to be meaningful, valid, or worthy of respect. I spent many years believing I was behind, only to realize I was building foundations others quietly skipped. That realization helped me replace urgency with patience and comparison with clarity over time and experience. Maturity. Wealth grows best when it supports your life quietly, instead of demanding constant emotional attention every day. You deserve financial progress that feels steady, humane, and aligned with the life you truly want. Even small improvements compound powerfully when they are built on understanding rather than fear or pressure. If this framework helped you see yourself more clearly, take a moment to acknowledge that insight today. Awareness is often the most important investment you can make before money ever begins compounding meaningfully. I hope you leave this video feeling calmer about money than when you first pressed play earlier. That calm leads to better decisions, healthier habits, and more resilient progress across years, not weeks. Remember, you do not need to reach the highest level to live a fulfilling, secure financial life. You only need to respect the level you are in and build forward with intention and patience. Thank you for staying with me through this entire conversation and giving your attention such care. Karizinu, if you found value here, continue these conversations by subscribing and joining future reflections together. I will keep sharing frameworks that help you think clearly instead of reacting emotionally to money decisions. Because clarity, not speed, is what ultimately creates lasting wealth and personal peace over time. Wherever you are on this path, steady understanding will always outperform rushed ambition eventually. This is Alex, reminding you that wealth should serve your life, not quietly control it every single day.